Salvete omnes, and welcome back to another edition of Latin Review. In today's episode, we'll be going over Exercitium Octavum. Join me. Hello and welcome back. I hope that you're enjoying a wonderful Thanksgiving break, or I hope that you have enjoyed a wonderful Thanksgiving break if you're only now tuning in the week subsequent. In this episode, we're going to be doing comparative adjectives, which were assigned on the last homework, Exercitium Octavum, and I'm going to be walking you through each of these. So, number one. Via apia blank est quam via latina. So when you do fill in the blanks, it's really important that you read the words not just before the blank, but also after the blank, because sometimes those are the ones that tell you the context you need in order to tell which word to put and which ending to put. So here we see quam, which is telling us that we're dealing with a comparison, so that this adjective it needs to be comparative. So via apia longior est, right? Longior est quam via latina. Longior is the comparative form of the adjective longus, longa, longum, and it's longior for masculine and feminine in the nominative singular. And that's what we have here, because it's talking about via apia. The via apia is longer than the via latina. So that's longior. Via latina brevior est. Brevior est. Inoske. Brevior est quam via apia. Forgive my handwriting there. Number two, so that's just the via latina is shorter than the via apia. Number two, Julius, viam apiam blank esse quam viam latinam, et padum blank esse fluvium quam renum dicit. So here's an example of that reading to the very end of the sentence to know the context, because we see that this is actually indirect speech. Julius is saying these things to be the case. So that's why viam apiam longiorem esse quam viam latinam et padum brevius esse breviorum esse fluvium quam renum. Now if it had been flumen there instead of fluvium, if it had been the neuter word for river, then it would be brevius, because brevius would be the accusative for that would match. But in this case, we have two nouns that are masculine and feminine. So longiorem viam apiam et breviorem fluvium. And if we translate this into English, Julius says the via apia esse longiorem, to be longer, quam viam latinam, than the via latina. And Julius says, padum esse fluvium breviorem. He says padum to be a shorter river than renum. So these are all accusative because they're modifying fluvium and viam apiam, which are nouns in an indirect statement. Number three, in fluviis blank sunt pisces quam in mari. In fluviis sunt pisces. So we know that we can tell from the context that we're talking about the pisces, and this might also be tricky because you might initially think that pauci is going with fluviis, in fluviis paucis or paucioribus. But really, if you read on a little bit, you see that it must be modifying pisces. It's saying that in rivers, there are fewer fish quam in mari, then in the ocean. So we need to make pauci match pisces. So we would write pauciores. Pauciores, and this is nominative plural matching pisces. Arma peditum blank sunt, number 4, quam equitum. He armis blank pugnant. So this is a comparison. It's saying that the arma of the foot soldiers are lighter than the arma of the cavalry. So leviora. And this is an instance where it's a neuter nominative plural, because arma is actually a neuter nominative plural, not feminine. The weapons are lighter. So leviora is what we use instead of leviores. Quam equitum, he armis blank pugnant. Gravioribus. Gravioribus is what we want. Why? Well, because it's describing armis is an ablative of instrument. It's saying that these, the cavalry soldiers, are fighting with arms. What kind of arms? With heavier arms, with heavier weapons. So ablative, this needs to match. That's why it's gravioribus, ablative plural. Number 5, annulus cum gemma blank est cum annulus sine gemma. Annulus cum gemma pulchrior est, right? Pulchrior est quam annulus sine gemma. And this one's straightforward because annulus is going with pulcher, and it's saying that a ring with a gem is more beautiful than a ring without a gem. Annulus cum gemma pulchrior est quam annulus sine gemma. Ornamenta gemmata pulchriora sunt quam ornamenta sine gemmis. And here pulchriora is modifying ornamenta. The ornamenta, the gemmed ornaments, are more beautiful than those without gems. Number 6, medus amicam formo habet quam cirrus. So it's saying here that Metis has a more beautiful girlfriend, in this case, than Cirrus. And formosus, formosa, formosum, it means beautiful in form. So formosiorem. And why is it accusative here? Well, because it's modifying amicam, which is accusative because it's the direct object of habet. Metis habet amicam formosiorem quam cirrus. Metis feminae formosiores amicus est, right? Metis is the amicus est, of or to, but in this case I'm interpreting it as of. He is the boyfriend of a more beautiful woman. Huic feminae formosiori medus annulum dat. Why formosiori? Well, because Metis gives an annulum, a ring, to this woman, to this more beautiful woman, to this formosiori feminae. And those are dative, so it's modifying feminae, so it needs to be dative. And we know because huic is in the dative case. Hoc flumen blank est et blank est quam illud. Longius et latius est quam illud. Right? Flumen is neuter, hence we have longius and latius. This river is longer and broader than that river. In flumine longiore with an E et latiore multipisces natant. So in the longer and broader river, many fish are swimming. Number 8, Dux Romanus militibus excuse me, Dux Romanus militibus fort blank imperat quam dux hostium. Fortior ibus imperat quam dux hostium. Is dux est militum fortiorum, qui duci fortiori parent. So why have we done it this way? Well, it's saying the general, the Roman general, imperat, commands more brave, more strong soldiers than the general of the enemies. And you remember that imperat goes with the dative. So militibus is dative, and fortioribus is describing militibus, it's modifying it. So it needs to be dative as well. And then, is dux est militum fortiorum, he is the general of the more courageous soldiers, so it's modifying militum, which is genitive plural, so fortiorum also needs to be genitive plural. Qui, the soldiers who obey, parent, duci fortiori. Remember that parent, like imperat, goes with the dative. So duci is dative, so fortiori is also going to be dative. Number 9. Pila Germanorum blank et blank sunt quam Romanorum. The longiora, right? Et graviora. Why longiora et graviora? Because these are modifying pila, right? The spears of the Germans are longer and heavier than quam the spears of the Romans. So they need to modify pila, which is a neuter plural. So they are also neuter plural. Germani blank et blank ferunt. So ferunt, pila. The Germans carry spears. What kind of spears? Longiora et graviora. So here, it's the same ending, but they're accusative because they're the direct object of ferunt. Remember that the neuter is always the same in the accusative and the nominative. Number 10, Lydia nomen brevius est quam Aemilia. Nomen is neuter, and so brevius is the neuter nominative form that's going with nomen. Lydia is a shorter name than Aemilia. In nomine breviore quinque litterae sunt. In the shorter name, there are 5 letters. Number 11, Marcus et Quintus blank sunt quam Julia. Laetiores sunt quam Julia. Marcus and Quintus are happier than Julia. So laetiores is modifying Marcus et Quintus, and because the two of them together are plural, laetiores is the nominative plural. Julia tristior est quam Marcus et Quintus. Julia is more sad than Marcus et Quintus. Tristior is modifying Julia, so it's singular. Julia mala formo siora quam pira esse putat, right? So Julia thinks the apples to be more beautiful than the pears. So mala is accusative plural in that case, the direct object of putat. So formosiora, which is more beautiful, and it's modifying mala, also needs to be the neuter accusative plural. Malum, mali is a neuter noun. Number 13, Quintus in arborum altiorem ascendit, quia in arbore altiore nidus est. So Quintus ascends, he climbs into the taller tree, quia, because in the taller tree is a nest. Number 14, equites gladiis longioribus et pilis gravioribus pugnant quam perites. So the horse soldiers pugnant, how? They fight with how? With longer swords and heavier spears than the foot soldiers. And gladiis and pelis are ablative of instrument, plural, so that's why longioribus et gravioribus are ablative, plural. Number 15, ornamenta aemiliae blank sunt quam sirae, ornamenta pulchriora sunt quam sirae, aemilia blank ornamentorum domina est, pulchriorum ornamentorum domina est. So here we have the ornaments of Aemilia are more beautiful than those of Sira. So pulchriora is modifying ornamenta, hence the neuter ending. And Aemilia is the mistress of more beautiful ornaments. So this is pulchriorum is going with ornamentorum. This is the genitive plural ending. So I hope that this has been of help to you in as you go through this exercise. And if you have any questions on it, feel free to come and ask me. I hope you're having a wonderful break. Take care.